Kansas City Chiefs just fell to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville slipped their way into a 4-1 record. They have a nice comeback win against a good Kansas City Chiefs team. And it was kind of a funny little parting gift that Joe Buck gave us at the end of the broadcast. Last year, the Kansas City Chiefs didn't get their third loss of the season until Super Bowl 59 against Philadelphia. And they're already at 3 losses in this season after 5 weeks. So, this is a really good win for Jacksonville. They had a Kansas City team that had some momentum, that was looking to get on the right path. They had won their last 2 games after starting 0-2. But Jacksonville, every single time that Patrick Mahomes and this Kansas City Chiefs offense struck with a touchdown or a score, Jacksonville came back as quickly, if not quicker, than Kansas City did it. And that last touchdown from Trevor Lawrence, they got the ball with 1 minute and 45 seconds left after Kansas City scored a touchdown to take the lead. Kansas City, in their own right, kind of stormed back in the fourth quarter. They were down 14-21. They end up scoring 2 straight touchdown drives, and they were looking like they were going to win the game. 1 minute 45 seconds left. But Trevor Lawrence, this offense, they did get a nice start due to a out-of-bounds kickoff from Harrison Butker. But he still had an incredibly impressive drive, throwing the ball. That run to end the drive and score the touchdown will forever be one of the weirdest game-winning rushing touchdowns in NFL history. But it was a really good win for Jacksonville. It was a really well-played game by this offense. The interception that Trevor Lawrence threw tonight, it was pretty clear that it was pass interference. So if that play gets called correctly, I guess you could say, this game might look a little bit different. It might look a little bit more lopsided in Jacksonville's favor, where Kansas City is still trying to play catch-up to them. But Jacksonville, nonetheless, they won the game. And they're firmly not only in first place in the AFC South, but if you look at their positioning in the AFC in general, with Buffalo losing this week, with Indianapolis losing last week, they're firmly in the hunt as one of the best teams in the AFC and one of the best teams in the NFL in period. Especially, not only did Buffalo lose, Philadelphia lost, and they're tied for the best record in the NFL. And that's a pretty good place to be in after you were picking at the top of the draft last year. You have a brand new head coach. You have a quarterback in his 5th year where there's been major questions around him. The offense in general, guys like Trevor Etienne, like Travis Hunter, there was a lot of questions about a lot of these guys coming into the season, and they are very, very well on their way to making a really good playoff run. As far as Kansas City is concerned, this continues the trend of Patrick Mahomes being the leading rusher for this team. He came in leading the team on the season. He led the team today in rushing yards. And there just isn't really an attempt by Kansas City to try to run the ball. You look at coming into this game, on average, both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco were averaging around 8 or 9 carries per game. That continued tonight with them both getting 7 carries in total. Kareem Hunt's totals look solid, 7 carries for 49 yards and 2 touchdowns. But if you take out his 33-yard run, you're looking at a 6 carry for 16-yard performance. Again, he has the 2 touchdowns, and so who cares about the yards if you get 2 touchdowns? But the long runs inflated the numbers for Kansas City running the ball tonight. They still were bad. They still were not Jacksonville didn't get a sack to try to be a on Patrick Mahomes. They did bring him down 4 times, and they had the AFC West six from Devin Lloyd. The AFC South, they wouldn't contend either. The entire honestly field. He went through in this 3 or 4 broken tackles. Houston's playing better. Got past a bunch of would-be tacklers. It was would have a tough time in anybody solid But with the
Linebacker,
AFC West, they're
full
falling
sprint
behind. Down the field, touchdown run. It was awesome to see. For the offense, tonight was the most productive night for the wide receiver duo of Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. They had a combined 7 catches for 144 yards. Didn't get in the end zone, but again, it was probably the most productive night that those two have had as a duo, with both of them contributing a major part in terms of the statistics for this offense. And, Trevor Lawrence had the 2 touchdowns. The last touchdown was a bit, I don't want to call it fluky. It was just, it was weird. But his 2 touchdowns, he led the team himself in rushing with 10 carries for 54 yards. It was kind of the part that turned the tide for the Jacksonville Jaguars in the second half, when he started using his legs and he started making plays on the ground to get first downs or both of the touchdowns. It was a really good performance from Trevor Lawrence on the ground and through the air. And I told you that there was a theme in tonight's game that has kind of been continued now for the Kansas City Chiefs. This was the 3rd time that Patrick Mahomes has had over 50 rushing yards for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he also has had a touchdown in each of those games. All 3 of those games, the Kansas City Chiefs have lost. In fact, there are 2 wins this year against the Giants and the Ravens, 2 struggling teams. But in their 2 wins, Patrick Mahomes has a combined 7 rushing yards. So I think there's a pretty clear, I don't want to say it's like, don't let Patrick Mahomes run the ball, but it's more like, don't get bailed out by Patrick to run the ball for this team and be the guy that's actually contributing on the ground. You need to start using Isaiah Pacheco. You need to start using Kareem Hunt. And if you don't want to use either of those guys, use Brashard Smith or find someone else. Because if you're not going to be able to rely on either Hunt or Pacheco to be more like a 15 to 20 carry back instead of a 7 to 9 carry running back, you're not winning games in the regular season. Forget playoffs, forget trying to make a Super Bowl. You're not going to win enough games to even make the postseason. So I just think there needs to be a major shift in how this team tries to actually get down the field through the run department. And it cannot just be with Patrick Mahomes game after game, because they are losing in those instances when they feel like they have to do it. It doesn't get any easier for Kansas City. They do go home, but they get to play an even more lethal offense in the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night Football. They get to be on primetime television again. It's like every week for this team. But they're playing a really good Detroit Lions team, a team who's possibly the number 1 team in the NFL right now. At least from an offensive standpoint, the defense is starting to turn their own tide. But offensively, Kansas City is going to have to match up with a really lethal group, both on the ground and on the pass. So if they can't run the ball next week, they're going to get probably blown out of the water by Detroit. Jacksonville welcomes the Seattle Seahawks in at home next week, and that'll be a pretty good game. Seattle lost in a pretty offensively explosive game against Tampa Bay on Sunday, so this will be an interesting game to see Jacksonville and Seattle, 2 teams who really want to make a playoff run, who really look like they're capable of it, and have defenses that are good, offenses that are good, playmakers at a lot of levels on the defense. It's going to be a really interesting matchup for both of these teams. And that's going to be the video for tonight's game. If you liked it, make sure you leave a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to try to have some sort of power ranking video up sometime this week. I said it last week I was going to have one up, and I didn't get it done. So I'm going to do it this time, either Tuesday or Wednesday. And if you want to see that video, make sure you subscribe again. And I'll see you in the next video.